Hello everyone. In this session, let me explain one more important theorem, and it is a very important theorem. It is asked in the year 2017. So please practice this well. Now, before getting to the theorem, let me revise the concept that you have already learnt in a previous session. So in case of simple function, it is just a recapitulation for you. If you understand this concept, then only you will understand the theorem. So that is why I am just telling you again. Anyhow, I'll give you this in the form of note. So if pi1 and pi2 are any simple function, so what we have studied is, suppose if we have if you're going to take a integration over a function f over a domain E, we can write this as supremum of all the pi which is less than or equal to f, such that integral over pi1 whenever a function pi1 is less than or equal to f. Repeating once again, if a simple function pi1 is less than or equal to a function f, if pi1 is less than or equal to f, then we can write, if you are going to take elementary integral over E, it is none other than supremum of all the simple function pi1, right? Similarly, suppose if pi2 is less than or equal to g, then we can write integral over E, g, supremum of all the pi2's taken over g, and it is pi2 over E. So wherever you will get this type of condition, you can manipulate as per the requirements. See here, in place of f I have written g. So similarly, you have to remember the first standard definition so that you can apply wherever is necessary. And one more thing, what I have said is, suppose if I have like f into kappa of chi, we say this as chi of a will be equal to integral over a into f. Similarly, suppose if you have say f of chi of b, we can write this as integral taken over b f, right? So these two are key points. You have to remember this in order to prove the next theorem. Fine. Anyhow, coming to the proof, see here what is the given data if f and g are bounded measurable functions. So in the theorem itself, it is clearly given f and g are bounded and measurable function, which is defined on a set E of finite measure. Then we have to prove first statement. First, let me prove the first statement. So what we have to prove is, we have to prove integral over E. Let me prove here. Integral over E, a into f is equal to a into integral over E into f. So we have to prove this. Now, to prove this, we can have three conditions. Suppose if a is equal to 0. So if a is equal to 0, the result is obvious. That is true, right? So if you're going to take LHS, if you want, I'll just show you. You just take the LHS, so a into f. So when you're going to substitute a as 0, you'll get integral of 0 into f will be 0. So if you're going to take 0, again, when you're going to integrate it, integration of 0 is constant, right? So you'll get constant. Similarly, if you're going to take RHS, what is the RHS value you have? A into integral over a e into f. So let me take a as a constant. So constant into, a is equal to 0, right? 0 when you're going to multiply 0 inside, so you'll get 0 into f only. Or 0 into anything will be 0. Here also, if you're going to multiply 0 into f, you will get 0 only. So integration of 0 will be constant. Again, if you're going to take this number, anyhow by the property of integral, we can take a inside, so I can write a into f. So when you're going to take a as 0, 0 into f will be 0. So integration of 0 is again a constant. Anyhow, when you're going to take a as 0 or a constant, it doesn't matter, both the values will be 0. It is trivial. We are not going to prove everything, just we are going to write it is true for a trivial case. Now second case is, what will happen if a is greater than 0? Fine. Suppose if a is greater than 0, let me consider a simple function pi greater than or equal to f. If pi is greater than or equal to f, I can directly write, if you are going to multiply any real number a to this, I can write like this, right? And it will be true. Suppose if psi is less than or equal to f, I can write a into psi is less than or equal to a into f. If this condition is true, if you are going to multiply with any real number a, the condition will be obvious, right? Now let me consider the LHS value. What is the LHS value we have? So let me write here. So LHS value I'm going to write. So LHS what we have, integral over E AF. So I'm just writing it, integral over E AF. Suppose if this is a Lebesgue integral, so as per the definition, when do we say a function is Lebesgue integral? When upper bound is equal to, upper bound of a partition will be equal to lower bound, or else we can say when supremum is equal to infimum. So I can write this as supremum of all the a pi's less than or equal to AF into a pi will be is equal to infimum of all the a pi greater than or equal to AF of integral of A pi. This is from the definition of Lebesgue integral. When do we say function is Lebesgue integral? When supremum is equal to infimum, or when upper bound is equal to lower bound. This is what the definition of upper bound and lower bound in terms of a simple function. I have already explained this in a previous session. Please go through that, then you will understand clearly. Fine. Now, since A is a constant, as per the property of integration, I can take A outside. So this step will become supremum of A into pi less than or equal to AF, A into integral over pi. Similarly, here also A is constant. Now I am applying just a property of integral. Since A I have both sides, it is no need to write. So understood that A will be cancelling. So pi is greater than or equal to F. Now I'll take A outside, so I will get pi. Clear? Since supremum into A I have, it can be written as A into supremum of pi less than or equal to F integral over pi, which is equal to A into, I am just writing it, A into A here and infimum here. I can exchange that, greater than or equal to F pi. Right? Now you can note that so in both the terms, what is the common? A is the common. So I can write this as supremum of, instead of telling it as a common, it is just like A into supremum is equal to A into infimum, right? So when it is something like A into a function, that is integral over a function, or I can say this as A into supremum of pi less than or equal to F of pi is equal to A into infimum of pi greater than or equal to F integral over pi. Now you can look at this. So if supremum of pi taken over F is equal to infimum of pi taken over taken over F, if both are equal, we can say it is a Lebesgue integrals. How can we denote this as F? So what we have, multiplication it with A. So what is the LHS value I have? A into F. So I can write A into F as A into integral over F. So Lebesgue integral of A into F can be written as A into Lebesgue integral of F. One and the same. Now the third case is, this is for when A greater than 0. Suppose if A less than 0, meaning of this is A is negative. So when A greater than 0, A is positive. So when A less than 0, meaning is A is negative. So let me consider A as minus B. That is one of the negative value, and B will be positive. Why? Because if B is negative, negative of negative will become positive. So it doesn't make sense. So that is why I have considered A as minus B. Now let me consider LHS, that is A into F. Now as per the definition of supremum, we can write this as A into pi is less than or equal to A into F. Why? Because I have chosen a function in such a way. I have written here. Right? And now integral over A into pi. Now I am going to replace A with minus B. If I am going to prove it for one case, that is supremum, it will be true for infimum also. So we need not to prove for both cases. Here I am going to prove it for supremum case. Now I can replace A with minus B, so that I can write minus B into pi is less than or equal to minus B into F. Wherever A is there, I am replacing it with minus B. That's all. Minus B into pi. Now I can write this as supremum of minus B both sides get cancelled. Pi less than or equal to F. Minus B is constant. Now you can take minus B outside into pi. Now it is quite common that we have already done in the previous case, that we can write interchange constant and supremum. Similarly here also B is just like a constant. I can write this as minus B into supremum of pi less than or equal to F into pi. Now if this is true for supremum, it is true for infimum as well. So I can simply write this as Lebesgue integral over F. Lebesgue integral is same as Riemann integral. Anyhow, it is generalized case, that's all. So it is also true for infimum. So thereby I can directly write it as minus B into integral over F. Let me write LHS here. Now A into F. Integral over A into F. What is the value of minus B I have taken? It is A. So I can write this as A into integral over F. So the result is true for all the cases. If A is equal to 0 and A less than 0 and A greater than 0 and A less than 0, result is obvious. So that is what we need to prove for the first one. Hope so first one is clear. Integral over A into F. So whenever we have Lebesgue integral of a constant multiplied with a function, we can take constant outside. So you have to remember this property. Clear? Now let me prove the second one. So I'll just write here. Second one, I'll just write the statement. What is the second one we have? Is integral over E F plus G. I'll just write here integral over E, second one, that is B, F plus G will be equal to separate integral, that is Lebesgue integral of E over F plus Lebesgue integral of E over G. Fine. Now let me prove this. So to prove this, we are again going to consider a simple function. Let pi1 and pi2 be any two simple function in such a way that pi1 is less than or equal to f and pi2 will be less than or equal to g. If this was the case, pi1 plus pi2, when you're going to add these two, obviously this will be less than or equal to f plus g, right? So as per the properties. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take elementary integral for this step. So let me take elementary integral e pi1 plus pi2 is less than or equal to integral over e f plus g, right? Now as per the definition of elementary integral of a simple function, I can split this. I have already proved this theorem in the previous session. You can note, you can go through the video. So I have proved this theorem. Suppose if you have for a simple function pi1 and pi2, that is if pi1 and pi2 is a simple function, we can write this as integral over e pi1 plus integral over e pi2. I have proved this theorem. So you can go through that. Thereby I can write by the theorem, I can write it directly, integral over e pi1 plus integral over e pi2 is less than or equal to integral over e f plus g, right? Now let me take supremum of all the pi1s. That is why, because pi1 is less than or equal to f, so we are taking a supremum for the pi1. So let me take supremum of all the pi1s over f. So integral over e pi1 plus supremum of all the pi2s less than or equal to g, integral over e pi2, which is less than or equal to integral over e f plus g. Clear? Now as in the beginning of this session I have told you that, see here, supremum, whenever you have supremum of pi1 taken over all the f, I can write this as integral over e f whenever pi1 less than or equal to f. So that is what I have chosen here. Fine, pi2 less than or equal to g, and here I have obtained the condition. You can clearly see here. See here, supremum of pi1 less than or equal to f e pi1. So how can I write this as integral over e f? Similarly, how can we write this as? Why? Because both the conditions are satisfying. These two conditions I have taken here. So I can write this integral as f, that is integral over e, Lebesgue integral of over e f. This one as Lebesgue integral over e over g. Let me write this as Lebesgue integral over e over f plus Lebesgue integral over e over g, which is less than or equal to integral over e f plus g. I can write like this, right? Similarly, this is whenever we are going to take supremum, and this result will be true whenever we are going to take infimum. But the difference is that when you are going to take supremum, you will get less than or equal to. When you are going to take infimum of all the functions, you will get greater than or equal to. So similarly, you no need to prove again. You just take infimum, you will get this step as, I can write the above step as greater than or equal to. Why? Because in this step I have taken supremum of all the values, that is maximum value of a function. When you are going to take infimum, that is minimum value of the function, obviously it will be greater than or equal to. So if for a maximum value it is less than, then for a minimum value it is obvious it is greater than or equal to. Now by these two equations, since it is something like a less than or equal to b and like a greater than or equal to b, if both are true, we can say it is equal. So by these two equations we can write integral over e f plus integral over e g will be equal to integral over e f plus g, and that is what we need to prove is. See here, that is the statement 2. Clear? Now let us prove the statement 3. That is, what is the given thing? That is, if f is equal to g, then we have to prove Lebesgue integral over e of function f will be equal to Lebesgue integral over e of function g. So if functions are equal, Lebesgue integral also equal. That is what we need to prove is. Let me prove the third one. In order to prove the third one, let me consider a function pi, that is simple function pi, which is less than or equal to f minus g. That is difference of these two sets. Why? Because what we have to prove is f is equal to, given statement is f is equal to g. So when you are going to take g to the LHS side, you will get f minus g. So that is why I am assigning pi as less than or equal to all the values less than or equal to f minus g. Moreover, what is the given data to us? Given f is equal to g, right? On almost everywhere on a set E. Fine. Now we can write this as f minus g is equal to 0. From this I can write this step as pi is less than or equal to 0. Right. Now let me take elementary integral. So let elementary integral of pi will be less than or equal to 0 for all simple function. Why? Because as pi is less than or equal to f minus g, I can write integral over e pi is less than or equal to 0. Now I can replace pi by f minus g. I'll just write here. So here what I have, integral over e pi is less than or equal to 0. Now let me consider what I have taken is pi is less than or equal to f minus g. Let me take supremum of all the values of f minus g. So I can write this step as supremum of all the pi's taken over f minus g, integral over e pi which is less than or equal to 0. Now at the beginning of the session I have told you that, see here in place of f minus g what I have. See here in the standard form I have f here, so that I have written integral over e f. So in place of f I have f minus g. So how can I write this as? See here in place of f here f minus g. So I can write this as integral over e f minus g. So I can write this as integral over e f minus g as per the definition. Right. So f minus g will be less than or equal to 0. Now I have already proved this in case of simple function. So I can split this as integral over e f minus integral over e g. Fine. So I have proved the theorem, this theorem. So since I can split this, so as I can split this as difference of two function, right, which is less than or equal to 0. Now I can write this as integral over e f is less than or equal to integral over e g. Clear? Now so if this was the case, similarly we can prove integral over g since it is for supremum. If you are going to take infimum, we can prove the reverse inequality, that is integral over f is greater than or equal to integral over e g. So if this will be true when you are going to take infimum in place of supremum. So by these two conditions I can write integral over e f is equal to integral over e g, that is Lebesgue integral over f is equal to Lebesgue integral over g. So this is what we require to prove as per the statement C. Yeah, statement C. Now let me prove statement D. Now look at the statement D. If f is less than or equal to g almost everywhere, then we need to prove Lebesgue integral of f is less than or equal to Lebesgue integral of e over g. And we have already proved this. See here, Lebesgue integral of e f is less than or equal to Lebesgue integral of e over g. See here, I have already proved this in statement C itself. So again you have to write the same or else no need to write. So first statement is obvious and hence we have to prove that if you are going to take modulus then also the statement is true. So let me prove the second part of the equation D, that is fourth question. So in the notes also this will not be repeat again. Why? Because it is obvious. Why? Because it is already proved in third case. Fine. So now let me take integral over e modulus of f. This one I am taking. Right. Let me write this as magnitude of integral of f into kappa of e. I am proving this statement. I am not going to write this again. I have written this statement at the beginning of the session. I have told you that whenever you have f into chi of a, I can write this as integral over a f. Similarly, here I have integral over f into chi of e. That is why I have written here. See here in place of a what I have? E. So I can write this as integral over e f. Fine. And I have taken magnitude. And you already know that whenever I am going to split the magnitude, that is when you are going to take magnitude inside, equals will become less than or equal to. So I can take integral outside and I am going to take magnitude inside. So I can write f into chi of e. And again I can write this as, since magnitude is taking over a function f, into chi e. Again I am going to apply the reverse, that is, see here, chi e. So I am going to remove chi e. When you are going to remove chi of a, you have to put a here. Similarly, I am going to remove chi e here. So I can write e here. Right. So LHS is integral over f e, magnitude of f is less than or equal to integral over e magnitude of f. And that is what we require to prove is. Fine. I'm repeating once again. For the fourth question, this inequality is always true, as we already done this in third case. If you want, you can rewrite the same. And the second inequality I have proved by applying the property. And the last one is, if you have E1 union E2 of Lebesgue integral, we can split this. So obviously E1 and E2 are disjoint. In the sense, if you are going to take intersection of those two sets, it will be null set. So let me prove the last one, that is E. So I'll just write the LHS part of equation E. LHS is what we have, integral over E1 union E2 F. Again I am applying the property. As I already told you, whenever you have whatever the element you have here, in the previous step you have, if you are going to join with the chi, you have to write this set here. So similarly I can write this as integral over F chi of, since I have E1 union E2 here, I can write like this as per the standard definition. Clearly I have told you at the beginning of this session. Please go through it. And moreover, given that E1 and E2s are disjoint, in the sense their intersection is null set. This implies that whenever they are null set, we can write chi of E1 union E2 as chi of E1 plus chi of E2. This property holds good only when they are disjoint. Fine. So I can write chi of E1 union E2 as chi of E1 plus chi of E2. Since I am sending the notes as textbook material, it is printed material. So chi is just looking like an X. You just make it as chi. If you see the video properly, then only you can make corrections there. Fine. So it is chi. In the textbook material, it was just looking like an X. You just change it. Now let me consider LHS. E1 union E2 F will be equal to F into, since it is disjoint, I can write this as, I am just going to replace this as chi of E1 plus chi of E2. Now I can multiply F inside, so that I can write F into chi of E1 plus integral over F into chi of E2. I have splitted the integral and I have multiplied F inside, so I have obtained this. Fine. Now again I am going to apply the property. That is, when you are going to remove chi, you have to write this set here. Right? So integral over E1 F plus, I am going to remove chi here, so I can write E2 here. So integral over E2 into F. Let me write LHS as it is. E1 union E2 of F is equal to integral over E1 F plus integral over E2 of F. So these are the properties of Lebesgue integral of bounded measurable function. Lebesgue integral of bounded measurable function. So this is important. It is asked in 2017. So you have to practice all. It is very simple if you know the definition, all the definition properly. So all the proofs are, most of the proofs are similar to one another. So please practice it, and the notes will be forwarded in the group. Further, if you have any queries, you can free to ask me. Thank you. Continue in the next session.